Well, hello again. This week, we thought we'd actually revisit a topic we covered a little while ago. I'm talking specifically about HBO Max. And yeah, I know we covered the streaming service earlier this year in a video called 5 Things You Should Know About HBO Max, but a lot has happened since then. And so if you haven't really been keeping tabs on the streaming service since its launch earlier this year, well, this might be a good opportunity to check back in. So with that all in mind, these are a few more things you should know about HBO Max. Number 1. Rockin on Roku, Fire TV, and more. Okay, one of the bigger recent developments in the world of HBO Max is the arrival, finally, of a native Roku app. Of course, back when the service first launched, all the way back in May, if you can believe that, there were some key holes in the streaming service's platform support. Arguably, the two biggest missing pieces in that support were Amazon's Fire TV and Roku. Well, in recent weeks, we've seen the HBO Max app indeed make its way to Amazon's Fire TV platform, so naturally, many in the industry were waiting for the other proverbial shoe to drop. And drop it did, with an announcement this week that after some lengthy talks between Warner Media and Roku, the app is finally coming to the popular platform as of December 17th. And that app comes roughly 1 month after it appeared on Fire TV, and with both platforms now on board, that closes some key gaps in the service's current support. But it's also showing up in other areas as well, including Sony's new PlayStation 5 console. The app appeared on the game console's library this week as well, giving users of that new-gen game console another streaming service to choose from. And yes, the app is also available on Microsoft's new Xbox Series S and Series X consoles as well. So if you've been lucky enough to snag any of the new game consoles this holiday season, there should be an HBO Max app waiting for you on their respective marketplaces. Number 2, that big movie deal. So if you're thinking, wow, that's a pretty big flurry of activity seemingly all of a sudden, I wonder what they're planning. Well, Warner Media recently shared what it's planning, and it's, shall we say, ambitious. Yes, if you haven't heard by now, HBO Max and Warner Brothers, both of whom fall under the Warner Media umbrella, announced a deal that will bring all 2021 Warner Brothers movies to the streaming service on the same day as their theatrical release. Now, obviously, this move is an attempt to make the best out of the current situation, with COVID-19 continuing to have major effects on businesses large and small, and that includes movie releases and movie theaters themselves. And even with promising vaccines reaching the approval stage and beyond, we're still a long ways away from something resembling normal, and so we have the recent landmark announcement to bring new releases to HBO Max on the same day. But if you only paid attention to the headline info, you might have missed some of the finer details. For one, those movies that are slated to come to HBO Max on the same day will be available at no extra cost to HBO Max subscribers. That represents a different move than what Disney tried out with its release of the live-action Mulan earlier this year. If you'll recall, Mulan was made available on the company's Disney Plus streaming service for an additional fee of $29.99 as part of what the company called Premier Access. And then after a set time, the movie was later made available to all Disney Plus subscribers at no additional cost. So yes, HBO Max is taking a different approach here by not tacking on additional fees for these new releases. And it all starts with the Christmas Day release of Wonder Woman 1984. The superhero sequel is actually ushering in a few firsts for the streaming service, and we'll get to another one shortly. But it's also worth pointing out that those new releases won't stay on HBO Max permanently. As mentioned in the fine print on HBO Max's site, each of these same-day movie premieres will be made available on the streaming service for a limited time, specifically 31 days, also known as a month. In other words, while premiering these new films at home does up the convenience factor considerably, especially in areas where public gathering will remain unsafe for a while to come, there's still that sense of urgency involved if you want to catch these movies and discuss them with your friends. So if there is a new release on your radar, mark your calendars accordingly. And yes, we should also mention that this same-day launch plan has caused a significant amount of concern, especially from filmmakers. Some well-known filmmakers like Christopher Nolan have been outspoken in their criticism of the deal so far. And it's currently unclear whether those concerns will lead to changes in the newly announced plans, but we're definitely keeping a close eye on things and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more. Number 3, all the way to 4K. Again, looking back at HBO Max's launch earlier this year, one of the other big knocks against the service, along with the lack of Fire TV and Roku support, was the max resolution of 1080p. For cinephiles sheltering in place, the lack of 4K content on the service was indeed a sore spot for HBO Max. After all, in addition to its stable of TV shows, the service boasts a number of high-profile movies, many of which are available in higher resolutions on other streaming services. Well, that's set to change with, yes, the release of Wonder Woman 1984 on December 25th. Director Patty Jenkins herself helped spread the news that the movie will be the first film on HBO Max to be made available in up to 4K Ultra HD resolution. And for a quick recap, 4K resolution measures out to 3840 by 2160 pixels, at least on home TVs. And that's 4 times the resolution of the previous standard of 1080p. But beyond just increased resolution support, Wonder Woman 1984 will also support high dynamic range video in the form of HDR10 and Dolby Vision. Subscribers will also have access to Dolby Atmos sound support. Of course, all these resolutions and fancy standards will require compatible hardware at home, but if you have the gear, it should be a solid way to enjoy new releases. And HBO says more 4K content is coming, so be on the lookout for additional Ultra HD options in the future. Number 4. So about those free trials. Now, if everything you've heard so far has you thinking, okay, maybe I should make use of that HBO Max free trial I've heard about, well, I'm afraid it's not quite that simple anymore. If you head to the streaming services site nowadays, you'll likely notice that the free trial offer is nowhere to be found. And honestly, that's really not all that shocking considering all the exclusive content coming to the service in the near future and well into 2021. And it's not like HBO Max is alone in dropping the free trial carrot just before some high-profile releases. If you'll recall, Disney dropped its free trial offer earlier this year before the release of Hamilton on the streaming service. Now, that all being said, it might still be possible to score some deals on HBO Max access depending on where you look, including some companies bundling discounted or extended access to the service as part of a larger deal. And by the way, if those kind of deals interest you, I humbly suggest you check out our news website, cordcuttersnews.com, where we're tracking a whole bunch of deals during this holiday season. And so there you go. That was a quick update on what's been, in retrospect, a very, very busy few weeks for HBO Max. Some 7 months since its initial launch, the streaming service has laid out some very ambitious plans and addressed some key weaknesses. And I think it's safe to say it's going to be a very interesting 2021 for HBO Max, and we'll of course be following along the whole way through to bring you all the latest from all the streaming services. For now though, thank you all for watching as always. If you're new to the channel, please do consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons down below. On Wednesdays, Jess hosts our live Q&A session with viewers and subscribers, and then on Thursdays we dive deep into specific topics like hardware reviews or, say, streaming services that have been up to a whole lot of late. And speaking of hardware reviews, last week we took a look at Roku's all-in-one streaming device / soundbar known as, wait for it, the Stream Bar. Short version, it's a surprisingly capable device for around $130. And yes, of course, we'll have a link to last week's video down below in the video description so you can check it out, as well as a link up in the corner here as well. And then we wrap up the week in cord cutting and streaming news on Friday with Cord Cutting Weekly. And until next time, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for watching. Take care.